Hey everyone, it's Rhonda here from Nelson Soapery. Today I thought I would bring you along why I'm actually making something super fun, and the kids will absolutely love this. When my daughter was young, she would have been so impressed with this. She's 13, but she'll still love it, and she will come in and help me a little bit later, but for on camera I'll do the first bit, which will be a test before I let her in on the action. But anyway, so all you need is some jars like this. So this is basically just, you know, your little cheap candle jar. It's just a clear one. And of course we need some gorgeous sprinkles. You can get them from, you know, your local shopping centre. I mean, you don't need anything fancy. These are ones that I do have in my containers, because I buy them like in 1 kilo kind of batches, and then I just repop them back in these containers. But this one here, if you can see it, this is like a unicorn fantasy one. And so all we're going to be doing is basically on the inside of the jars, we're going to be popping in these sprinkles. But to do this, you need this particular product called Hod Podge. My daughter keeps saying I'm saying it wrong, which she's probably right. But anyway, this is the product you need. And so what we're going to be doing is get going with these, and I'll show you the first process. This process is a 2-day process. So if you're getting the kids to help, the first bit is the bit which they'll probably like doing, which is basically painting the jar, and then they're going to be popping the sprinkles inside. And then obviously the next bit of when we're popping in the wax is when you'd need to come in and do that, because it's too hot for children. But they'll be involved in it, and it's really nice to involve them in these projects. So let's get started and we'll make something really, really fun. So I'll get everything ready. I'll be back in a moment. All right, everyone, so I'm back. So what I'm doing first is I'm just giving these containers a really nice clean, so that that way they'll be really clean and they won't have any frosty fingers on the inside, because we don't want to have any marks on them, because obviously we want them to see through and see this really pretty product. So all I'm doing is, all this is just a tiny bit of rubbing alcohol or isopropyl, just on a little paper towel, and I'm just basically cleaning the inside of all these jars that you can see here. And yeah, we'll just clean them all out like I said, and then once we've cleaned them all out, then we're actually going to be applying this Hod Podge onto it. So I actually had these spare jars here just sitting there. I don't really use them much anymore for candles, so I thought, well, this will be a really cute project, and then I'll be able to pop them on my website as well. So like I said earlier, this is a 2-part thing. So what you need to do on the first day, which we'll be doing today, is we'll actually be painting the jar and then putting the hundreds and thousands, or whichever bit, you know, whatever you want to put on it. You can put those little sugar pearls, you know, you can get the little tiny baby ones. You could even put some sort of flora on there, you know, like a cornflower or something. Just be careful not to put too much cornflower and things like that, because you know, we don't want to cause a fire, and too much of that is dangerous inside a candle. So you could do that with some biodegradable glitter or something like that anyway, but you can put lots of different things in. But for this project, like I said, I'm going to be using these gorgeous little sprinkles that are in bright colors. And then on top of it, when we actually put the wax in, I'm just going to be using a white wax. But like I said, so this is the product we're going to be using. And so if you can see inside, it's just white, but it will dry clear. And it actually smells like PVA glue, very, very similar. And then all we need is just, you know, typical little paintbrush. This is just a cheapy paintbrush. It's nothing exciting. And I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. So that's why my head is cut out of the picture. That's okay, you don't need to see that. And so yeah, just a little bit, you know, just wipe it off, because we don't want to have heaps and heaps on the jar. And then literally all we're going to be doing is just painting on the jar. So you don't really want the bottom of the jar painted, because, you know, we're going to be putting our wick and sticking it on the bottom. So if you can see that, it does have a sticker on the bottom, but that middle bit is not painted. It's literally just around the outside, and just sort of go up on the edges, because we want it to stick everywhere. Don't worry about the very top, but, you know, if you get little bits around that, because we can wipe that off later anyway. So all we're going to do, like I said, is do that. And then from here, we'll just grab some of these sprinkles, pop them inside the jar here. And then all we're going to do is like turn this jar around, you know, with your hands. And if you can see, that's already sticking to the jar. So you can put heaps in because we can tip it back inside if we don't use it, and just give it a bit of a shake. Just shake it all up inside and make sure it all sticks, and tip out all the excess because we don't need that. And look how cute that is. Can you see inside? But you see those bits that fell out, so we want to shake it, you know, we'll tap it down in a minute just to make sure any little bits don't fall around because we don't want them floating in the candle. But look how absolutely sweet that is. On the outside, you can see that white, how it's like that white color, so you know it's not ready because you do need to let this sit for 24 hours. And once this is sit, it means everything's stuck down, and then we can get doing something fun by popping the wax on the inside. And of course, these are already stuck with this Hod Podge, so they're stuck to the outside, so they're not going to come off in the wax. But how cute is that? So I'm going to get going, and I'm going to be painting all of the rest of these. So you can do big ones like this. These ones I already had the clips sitting in the middle, but honestly, you don't need the clips in the middle. You can just take them out, put the clip in last. It is so much easier. And yeah, like I said, it's really easy. Just simply go along the sides. So this one might be easier because it's so big for you to see. So I'll just paint this one so that you can see me painting this all around. And, you know, like, sort of give an even coat. Like, don't do like, you know, a real thin coat, but don't do a super thick one, if that makes sense. So either just, you know, a basic coat. And I haven't got heaps and heaps on the brush, so all I'm doing is one side's got that and one side's got nothing on it. And that way you can get a really good coverage, and just keep turning it as you're painting it. And I am actually painting right to the edge because I actually want the sprinkles to come to the end anyway. It'll look a bit silly if they don't come there. And yeah, and then we'll just paint to the top. If you had a lid that is going to go on these, you know, those lids that suction on the inside. So if that suction comes to like, you know, 3/4 up, then don't do the top, just wipe that off. But you can, even once you put the sprinkles on, you can wipe that off later if you don't like it on there. And like I said, once again, we're just going to literally put a handful of these in, and doesn't matter how many because, as I said, we can literally, you know, take them off. So if you can see, I'm going to get nice and close and see if I can show you. So literally, you're just going to keep turning this around, and then you can see how they've already started to stick to one side. So I'll pop a bit more in here. And like I said, I sort of shook it in my hand before, which was the best way. So if you just put your hand over the top and kind of shake it all around and keep turning it. And just make sure it's all over the sides. And then, like I said, you know, just tap off the excess. We don't want those little bits on there. And then look how sweet that looks. So you can see it's nice and beautiful and colourful. So I'll get going on the rest of these. And I'm going to bring you back tomorrow once these are all dry and we're ready to add the wax in, and we'll go on to the next step. Hey everyone, we're back again. So as you can see, these are actually done now. So you can see that they're more like a clear sort of colour, and you can see inside they're totally dry. So now the next bit that we're going to be doing is organising the wicks. So lots of people do ask me about the wood wicks and how I actually go about, you know, sourcing the right wick for the right jar. So basically the best way to look at it is if you've got a jar like this, you've got your circumference of your jar. So you want to know how wide the jar is, and then that will actually determine your wick that you're going to be using. So all you need to do is get a ruler and just measure from one side to the other. And I'll do a bit of an example now just so that you can see exactly what I mean and how I'm going to be choosing my wicks. So as most of you know, I do use these particular ones here. And what this is this is a Pro Wood wick. So I get these from a company called Aroma in Australia. So it's aroma.com.au. You can get them probably lots of places. Just Google Pro Wick and then you'll see exactly what I mean. mean, they're an engineered wick, and I've honestly never ever had clogging or an issue in a candle. But in saying that, if you put glitters and micas and things like that into your wax, they will definitely clog up. So make sure you're using the right waxes, and make sure you're using everything the right way, you know, the right fragrances and so on, because fragrances that you get for candles are specially made for candles. So that's the reason why we actually order from these candle suppliers. As most of you know, I use Pure Candle Supplies Australia, and also Aroma, also Aussie Candles Australia as well. So check out all those sites. I'll leave the links for you, of course, down below. And so now let me just go and grab you know, a ruler, and then I'll show you exactly what I'm meaning for these jars. So we've got a ruler here, and we want to do it in centimeters in Australia because everything else is done like that. So if you see the top of your jar here, you know, you're more looking on the inside because you want to know the burn depth as well. So this one's saying it's roughly about 5.5 on you know, on your width in centimeters across. So then what you're going to be doing is you would go over to a company like Aroma Australia, and then on it they will actually tell you on each particular wick, you know, what circumference it should be. And of course you need to do your testing. But for this particular jar, I'm actually going to be using the 12 millimeter wood wick. They don't have codes on these ones, they're just like in millimeter sequence. So, you know, so but like I said, for this particular one here, let me just get my piece of paper so I can definitely make sure that I'm right. Yep, so it's 12 millimeters, and basically for this it will go up to 6.9 wide. I have tried the one under this, and it wasn't it didn't meet, you know, reach sort of your full melt pool, so I knew it wasn't the right one. And then I have tested this one, and it's really good. So if you look at this basically this jar here will say up to about like 6 centimeters roughly, and this particular wick says 6.9 up to 6.9 to get a full burn pool. So like I said, you do need to test. You could go one under this if you wanted to test that as well, but I just know from my testing it's not the right one. But we will test these again as well, and then we'll keep going from that, because I am using a different scent. I'm going to be using the Hundreds and Thousands scent, and that one is from Aussie Candles, so we will be using that one. But anyway, so that will give you an idea for that. So we know that these ones are your 12, which like I said are your thicker ones here. And then all I'm going to be doing is just literally getting the clip, which lots of you have seen the clip, I've showed you before. And then all you're going to be doing is, I'll pop it down the table here, and hopefully we'll pop it here so you can see. And then all you're going to be doing is pushing your wick in the center, and then the wick, the clip into the wood wick. And then you can see, if you can see that, and then this bit at the bottom, that is the bit that is going to stick directly into here. So on the bottom of these particular clips, they will just have a little code, which is PW. So that's just, you know, so you know it's like your wood wick, but you know, they're all different codes and so on. But don't worry about that code. It's actually the millimeter that you want to know. So anyway, we know that that one is right for that particular one. So we'll just stick that little wick in there. So this is what I do at the start. I just basically just sat that in there. It's not stuck yet. We'll stick it after. Put that one in there so we know those ones are done. And now when we come to these ones, we've got two different sizes. We've got, you know, your small and your top, but if you have a look at that, the top is exactly the same. So it is only basically just, you know, your height in the jars. So I've measured these ones up, and I know these ones are the right size that I've already chosen. So for this particular one here, I'm going to be using the 8 millimeter. So the 8 millimeter will go up to your 5.5 centimeters across. And once again, you know, just get your ruler and just have a look at the top. And this one says like 5.2 across. So I know that one's right, and I have tested these as well. And then I've already put the clip on, so then we know these skinnier ones are for these, and they're going to look right. So I'll get all these ready. We'll get the wick stickers on the bottom, stick them into the jars, and then we'll get ready, obviously, to pour in the wax. And I'm just going to be using a natural color. I'm not going to be dyeing these ones, I don't think, at all. I did think of doing like a peach or a yellow, but I think maybe it would be nice just to leave it because we do have all the crazy color on the bottom. Anyway, I'll come back when we're up to the next step. All right, we're up to the fun bit. So I have actually put in the scent in the bottom, and there is a tiny little black thing, if you can see that, and that is actually going to be the color, I've decided just to put a tiny little blue piece in here as well. So let me just get the wax in and then we will organize it. So in here I've put roughly about, I think it was 76 grams of my scent. So I know that I can have up to 10%, so I'm just going to put around 800 grams of oil as well, or so about 850, because you know it doesn't have to be exact as long as you are not over 10%. So I try and go 8 to 9% roughly. So anyway, my wax is all ready and I'm just going to pop it in. I've already checked the temperature. Then we're going to mix it for a few minutes and then we're going to pour it into these jars, which I've already put the wick in that we just talked about before, and they're going to be so gorgeous. I was going to do them in clean white, but then I thought, look, I'll just do them in a tiny bit of blue and it's going to make them look really lovely. So like I said, anyway, let's go and we'll pop in the wax. So I'm just going to pop it in here so that I can measure it. I'm just taking it straight out of my little hot pot, and everybody that knows me knows I actually warm mine up in this little pot here. So all my pot is here is, it's just like a slow cooker. I like a tiny baby one. Sometimes I pour it in, but I wanted to get the measurements really good. So we've got like here 873. I know that that is more than fine. Maybe we'll pop a bit more in. Like I said, that's about 8.5% roughly of fragrance, and I can have up to 10. And I'm working today with 464, so this is the wax I'm using. Like I said the other day, I am going to keep using the 464 just until I finish the whole 464 you know, up, and then once it's all done and you know we're finished with the whole lot, then I will probably go to the coconut soy, which was from Pure Candle Supplies. But at the moment I probably still have maybe 20 kilos left of 464. I probably will use that up by the end of the week or early next week. I usually use anything from 15 to 30 kilos of wax a week, because when I do my market, I do sell quite a lot at the market. So, and also for the color that you can see that I've popped in here, this color I did get from Aroma. I wanted to try their little block bits as well. I do use the blocks, as you all know, shaving from, I just shave a little piece from Aussie Candle Supplies, and these ones are the little chips, which I've not used before. This color is just called Blue. I'll grab it so you can see. So this is the one that I'm using at the moment. If you can see, they come in these tiny little chips in here. This was like $2 for that. And all you need is 1/4 of a chip to get this color I've got in here. So these will last for ages. And that's what I said. Don't use micas or anything. These are so cheap. You know, just buy, you don't have to buy, you know, the big packet. Just buy a little one of the $2 one to start with to see if you like it. If you love the color, then buy more. I mean, from Aussie Candles, I did end up buying like one red block. I loved it, so I bought like, I think 12 blocks or something. So, you know, if you really like it, then you just can get the bigger one, of course, you know. So the whole rule with 464 is basically once your temperature is, you know, around the 185 degrees, then, sorry, not degrees, it's Fahrenheit, remember, because I do work in Fahrenheit with 464. So once you get to your 185, you're going to pop in your fragrance. You know, anything from 175 to 185, pop it in. You're going to be stirring this for a few minutes, which we will just keep stirring this, which I was before anyhow, for usually 2 to 3 minutes. Then once we keep stirring, we're going to check the temperature on here. And we want this temperature to be like 145 to 150. Candle Science says, you know, 135, and then you can pour. I've poured at 135 and I actually don't like it at that particular temperature. I really prefer it to be like around the 150 to 145, around kind of that, in Fahrenheit, of course. And once we reach, like we said, the beautiful kind of one that we want, and I'll show you my color. If you can see, that looks so gorgeous. And usually if you want to see the color, just tip a tiny bit of this, you know, onto the end of the spoon. That's kind of how you can tell, or a little bit of paper towel. I know this is going to be a really nice color because I don't want one that's too strong. Even though this looks super strong, the time you pour it in and it cures it, you know, and starts to solidify, it will be a really light pastel color. They're never as bright as you see them in these containers. I get lots of people say, oh, I'm so disappointed, but if you really want a strong color, you do need to, you know, use more color. The only thing is sometimes it can clog up wood wicks if you use too much color. And the other thing that I think is, you know, the more important is it costs a lot more money because you're using, you know, more colors and so on. And if you use 464, it will have frosting when you use colors. No matter what you do, no matter how much you try, you just will get frosting. So it's best to try a coconut soy instead if you want to do bright colors. Anyway, we'll keep mixing it, and then when it's ready, I'll come back and we'll pour it into the container. All right, so we're ready to pour this in here now. So all we're going to do is pop this onto the scale. I've torn out the scale, and then we're just going to slowly pour in the top, just so that we can tell exactly what we need in size, you know, in size of obviously our wax. And you can probably see it come through the jar now, which looks really, really sweet. And you can see at the bottom, so just keep your eye on it, you know, and if you only want 200 grams in it, just keep your eye on it so you'll know exactly what you're going to be popping in here. So for me, I've decided with these, I don't really care about the lids too much. I might not even pop the lids back on. And then anyway, this one's going to be, as you can see, $2.91 or $2.90. So that's what I'm going to be selling this bigger one as, 290 grams. And then we'll pop this one back on, make sure it's torn out, which it is because it is actually the same jar. And then we're literally just going to slowly pour them in. And we know they're both $2.90, and look how cute that looks. That blue, I will bring you back later to see how that blue is going to go, and it is going to go much lighter, and then it will actually, you know, show the difference up in the jars. So we're gonna, you know, just tear this one out again because this is our little baby jar, and then we'll see how we go from here. And we'll just fill up all of these little jars as well. So this one, I think we want this to be around 90, but it doesn't look very full, so we might actually just make it go to 100. All right, so we're going to do 100 grams in that one there, and then we will go to the next one, and we'll make sure these ones are all 100 each. Last one for this one, and then we have a tiny jar, so we will see how much our tiny little jar is going to take as well. And if I run out, well, then that's all these jars are going to have, and then I will have to do some more at a later date. But even though that I've actually done these hundreds and thousands ones around the outside, don't worry too much about that because we can fix this later. And look how sweet that looks. Once again, it looks really, really amazing. And that's it. So I'm going to bring you back once they're all done and all ready, and then I'll show you how gorgeous they look in the end.